Jonathan. Genesis chapter 33, Jacob and Esau finally meet. This has kind of been building up, and last chapter was a large chapter with all the preparations for this meeting. Jacob has been away for 20 years, and you remember when he left, it wasn't under the best of circumstances, and Esau had determined that he was going to kill Jacob, and of course that never came to pass. But as Jacob is coming back, he still has this in mind, and then when he hears that Esau is coming out with 400 people, 400 men, he's somewhat fearful, and that doesn't go away when they finally see each other. So Jacob looks up, he sees Esau, and he sees him with his 400 men, and the fear is still present, and so he bows down before Esau 7 times. Now, that's verse 3. The 7 times is probably just a symbolic act of submission, 7 being an important number, the number of completion or whatever. And so he bows down 7 times, maybe in an act to show or demonstrate to his brother, in addition to all of the gifts that he had sent forward, to show that he was really sincere in his desire to fix things and to make things right. But before that, you can see Jacob's fear in that he divides his family up again, and he sends the maidservants first with their children, and then he sends Leah next with her children, and then Rachel and Joseph are at the end, which probably shows maybe a little bit that none of the tension or the hierarchy within the family has gone away. It's all still present, and I'm sure Leah wasn't feeling so great about having been put first, to go first ahead of Rachel, and then Rachel coming up at the end with Joseph, whom we know is going to be Jacob's favorite son, and that's kind of leading into the story that's coming up next. So they meet, but to Esau's credit, we see in him probably the passionate expression of forgiveness of Jacob. So he sees this, and he runs out to meet him, and he embraces him, and he falls on his neck and kisses him, and they weep. So this is Esau. There is no threat from Esau's part, as much as Jacob might have been fearful of it. Esau just shows just an open heart and forgiveness, and he does so throughout the whole chapter. He's offering all kinds of things to Jacob to help him. He offers to give the gifts back, and all of these just an outpouring on the part of Esau, and the tension just does not go away from Jacob's part. You can kind of feel it. Every offer that Esau makes, Jacob kind of resists it. But we see in verse 4, Esau ran to meet him, and I read that. Verse 10, Jacob said, "No, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face as though I have seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me." So Jacob is relieved, I'm sure, at Esau's benevolence there. But as we see, there's just a coolness, at least on Jacob's part, and he resists the offers that Esau gives to him. Now, why would Jacob resist the offers here? And I'm not exactly sure, but it is clear that Jacob wants to maintain a separation from Esau. So we see, let me bring up the map here, they meet up towards the north of, the top part of this map here at Mahanaim. We see that there. And the red line that goes all the way down to Edom. Edom is another name for Esau, and that's where Esau is living. Mount Seir is going to be way down south below the Dead Sea. And so Esau invites Jacob to come down with him to Seir. And Jacob actually says that I will meet you in Seir. This is in verse 14. He says, "They are not able to endure. We have to come slowly, and I will make my way unto you in Seir." That's what Jacob says. However, Jacob does not go south at all. He cuts over from Mahanaim, and he goes to Sukkoth, which is right on the Jordan River there. And he pitches his tent at that place, and he dwells there for a little bit of time. He remains there, and he doesn't immediately he remains there. He doesn't go at all, ever. He's never going to go south. So they basically separate at this point, and they really don't come together except when their father dies, which is going to, I don't remember exactly where it is, but that's coming up pretty quickly. And at that point, they'll come together for the father's funeral, Isaac's funeral. But Jacob does not intend to go south. He never goes south. He goes towards the promised land, and he pitches his tent at Sukkot. Now, another interesting thing here is that Jacob does not immediately go into the promised land. Now, for all of the talk about God telling Jacob, you're going to return here, and then Jacob telling Laban, God has told me to go back, and go back to the land of his promise that he has given me. Jacob does not go there immediately. He pitches on the other side of the Jordan, and he stays there for a little while. Now, eventually, he's going to go to Shechem. So you cross the river and you go all the way, you go west a little further. Again, just kind of cutting across west. He finally makes his way to Shechem, and at Shechem he builds an altar. So that brings us to verse 20. And in verse 20, it has this interesting thing here. It says, then he erected an altar there. That's Jacob. And he called the place, he called it El Elohe Israel. Right? Do you see that? Now, does anybody have a different reading at that verse for the name of the place? El Elohe Israel. Anybody have a different? Ben?
I mean, mine gives a footnote to clarify, but
what does your footnote say?
Says it means God, the God of Israel.
All right, God, the God of Israel. El is God, Elohe is God, a form of the word God, and then Israel at the end. Does anybody have a different reading? No? All right, God, the God of Israel. Now, this is really interesting, and I don't know what to make of this, but literally this says, the God of the gods of Israel. That's what he is naming this place. The God of the gods of Israel. And it's kind of bizarre. It's you know how we have the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords? This is the God of gods. But the way that it's saying is that it's almost as if Jacob is expressing that he has these other gods, and we saw that Rachel had stolen some, right? And he's saying, well, this is the altar to the God of the gods, to the God of my gods. And there isn't this, we've seen Jacob, just kind of waffling to begin with, but there isn't this putting away of all of the gods of the lands and turning to the one true God fully and wholeheartedly. Now, this is not going to be unique, because we're going to see that throughout the course of the Israelites, they are going to keep on turning back to the gods of the Canaanites and so on. This is going to be a constant problem. And maybe we're seeing a foreshadowing of that here in Jacob's life. And this, like I said, this isn't the first time this has come up. This, if nothing else, it came up with the fact that Rachel had stolen the gods. So it's just an interesting, way that he expresses it when he erects this altar. I mean, he's acknowledging God, but he's also saying, I've got these other things here. There isn't this clean break. And like I said, you probably have at the time of Moses in the giving of the law the clearest focus upon God above all other gods. And we should put the other gods should be put aside forever and completely. And they'll sort of do that sometimes, but they'll always be gravitating back to the other gods that are around them. So I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit here. All right, any comments or thoughts before we finish this short chapter today?
My footnote read different.
Yeah.
It says, God, the God of Israel,
Yes.
declaring that he worshiped the mighty one.
That's what your footnote says. Yeah, that's what Ben's footnote said. So God, the God of Israel, as if he's saying it twice. But that's not what it says in the Hebrew, and I don't know why they're translating it this way. It's they're just trying to. I guess this is a case of interpretation. You know, where you're kind of reading into what you think it should be, but that's not how it reads. It's clearly the God of the gods of Israel. El-L-A, Elohe, Israel. And so, I don't know.
At least they
I could have it wrong, you know. You might as well default to your comments there. Oh, yeah, John MacArthur, yeah. You gotta, that's the one right there. So just circle it. And, but, all right. Anybody else? Daniel?
Doesn't David similarly talk like this? He says, you are to be exalted among all the gods, for all the gods are worthless idols before you, and stuff like that.
Well, there's a lot of talk of the gods. But here, Jacob is calling him, he says the gods of Jacob, the gods of Israel. He is the God of the gods of Israel.
Israel as in...
Himself.
personally.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's using his name, Israel. It's not the nation Israel. He's referring to himself. You are the God of the gods of Israel. You are the God of my gods. If you want to put it differently. That's what he's saying. You are the God of my gods. So it's good. And again, you know, John MacArthur translates it different, and whoever's doing yours is translating it different. But he might be saying, you are the God of my gods, which is good. He's elevating God to his proper place, but in the midst of his junk that's still hanging around. You know what I mean? So anyway.
And these are not like these are the footnotes, right? It's not like John MacArthur's confidently saying this is what we're gonna put in the verse itself. No, it's
right.
It's still his thoughts on it. So yeah.
That's right. So if you knew Hebrew, it's El is in a construct form, which is up. You know, you put up, the God of, and then Elohe is the construct form of Elohim, so it's the gods of, and then you have Israel. So.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts, Beverly? Yeah, there's no nation of Israel. He's talking about himself. Yeah, and his family.
That's
So.
interesting. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
That's true. I didn't think that we might just kind of automatically go to the fact that we're talking about Israel, the nation, but yeah, we don't have that yet. He just got named Israel just in the last chapter. So
Yeah.
what? 7 days ago? Just happened.
Took me a second.
Actually, this would have been the next day.
Yeah.
Right? He had just wrestled with God, had just had his name changed in the night, and then he goes out and he meets Esau. So it just happened.
Well, the altar isn't built.
Oh yeah, that's true. So some time did pass. I mean, that's right. He goes over to Succoth and stays there, and then he goes over, crosses the river, goes to Shechem. So yeah, that's right. All right. So it didn't happen the night before. Sometimes. All right. Any prayer requests? We had prayed for the Duggars and for Cam in particular, who had the EEG done for 2 days, and it came back completely normal. So that's a big praise, and they're relieved. So we can praise God for the answer that He gave there for the Duggars. Duncan?
Yeah, his bladder cancer is coming back, and he has kidney failure.
All right, so we want to pray for Duncan. That's Savannah's grandfather. And cancer and kidney failure, right? Okay, so let's pray for Duncan. Other prayer requests?
Pray for Miss Paula Greenfield. Christian, pray for her.
Okay, let's pray for Paula.
I always pray for her every day.
That's good.
My neighbor.
Okay, your neighbor Gary? Let's pray for Gary. Patty?
Oh, praise the Lord. I found out today
We prayed for Patty, Francis Wilder's daughter, who was having the cancer surgery this week. So the surgery actually lasted 7 hours rather than 10 hours, and it went really well. So there's a praise there. So that's Francis' daughter, Patty. All right. And of course, we want to pray for the ministry of the church. And my prayer always is that whenever we meet, that God would come and would move in such a powerful way in our midst, and be felt and impact the lives of the people that come. There's no better, I don't know if advertisement is the right word, but there's no better testimony than to give that, well, we went to church today and God just really moved in our midst. And that's my prayer. That's what I want to happen every time we come together. So let's keep on praying, and we're His people, and we're here to serve Him and to exalt Him above everything else. And we want Him to have His way and to have His work and to do His work in our midst. So that's our prayer and our hope. We have 3 people being baptized on Sunday, so Tom will need your help with that. So let's pray for those people that are getting baptized. It's the Carters, both of them, and Noah. What's Noah's last name? It's Bray, Noah Bray. That's Ben and Amy's son. He's part of the youth